Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and welcome back to my channel, Stubbornly Bookish. Today I'm going to be discussing 5 authors that I would like to read in the coming year. At the beginning of the year, a lot of people, myself included, tend to make videos discussing the 10 books they want to read in the new year or whatever number. I was thinking though, when making this list, there were a couple authors that I was debating putting on there and some of their works on there, and then I realized that basically every single release that they've put out I really want to read, and I've been meaning to read these authors specifically rather than like one specific book. Now, every author on this list I have never read a full novel from. I have read novellas from I think at least 3 of them, possibly 4. These are just 5 authors that I've thought about for a long time. They tend to be really popular and well reviewed here on BookTube. Author number 5 on this list is actually Holly Black. Holly Black has many years on a lot of the popular authors here on BookTube. She's been writing for a long time. I believe she's actually the person who wrote the Spiderwick Chronicles, which is a really popular middle grade series. I've been interested in reading her and a lot of her books for a while now, simply because she's been around for so long and she tends to be really well reviewed. I do, however, think that the release I'm most excited to read from her is her newest one, which is The Cruel Prince. Everyone and their mother loves this book. It is a high fantasy that deals with fae. I also forgot to mention that Holly Black tends to write a lot about fae. I own a couple of other books written by her, co-written by her, but this one stands out to me because it's supposed to take on the dark, sinister side of the fae. They're supposed to be incredibly ruthless. This one follows a human girl who was abducted with her sister when she was younger and raised in the courts of the fae, and she wants to rise among the ranks and fuck shit up. I'm very excited to read this one. The new release, The Wicked King, should be coming out very soon, if not this week. I think a lot of people are really excited for it, and I, for one, am really excited to read The Cruel Prince. Now, the next author I really want to read from is Adam Silveira. Adam Silveira tends to write about queer Latinx boys. He is known for writing incredibly impactful and sad but wonderful books. I am most interested in They Both Die at the End, which I actually own on Kindle. I also own a couple other books by him, but this one really intrigues me because it has such a unique premise. In They Both Die at the End, essentially there is this technology that is able to predict the day that you're going to die, and on 12:01 a.m. that day you get a message saying, hey, get your affairs in order because you're going to die. It follows 2 boys spending their last day together, and I think it's going to be incredibly emotional and difficult, and I'm very interested to see how he writes it because we do know the ending from the title. I'm excited to read it. It kind of gives me a little bit of Nicola Yoon vibes because it's told within the span of the day. The content is not similar whatsoever. The next author I really would like to read from is Sean David Hutchinson. He's a little bit more under the radar, and he tends to write a lot of kind of speculative fiction featuring queer people, and he also discusses a lot about depression and anxiety. His books are supposed to be hard-hitting and impactful. His fans are really passionate about his stories. I'm personally the most interested in We Are the Ants. This follows this boy who keeps getting abducted by these aliens who are telling him that the Earth's population is at risk and basically the world is going to end as they know it, and he has the option to stop it, but he doesn't really know if he should. I would give a heavy trigger warning for, I believe, depression. I think it's heavily featured in this story. This one has been calling to me for so long, and I was thrilled when I found it in the thrift store, so cannot wait to read something by him. The next author number 2 on this list, also writes a lot of Latinx fiction that I think also tends to be queer. She, I think, has the smallest following of all the authors on this list, but her fans are incredibly passionate about her stories and say that she has an absolutely beautiful writing style. The author I'm talking about is Anna Marie McLemore. I actually did read a short story from her in the All Out anthology, and maybe another anthology as well. I really did love her writing style, and that's what intrigued me to want to read more of her fiction. I really want to read Blanca and Roja, but I don't own that one yet. Of the books that I own by her, I really want to read Wild Beauty. This follows a family who for generations have had this sort of curse / mysterious thing happen to them, and when the women of the family fall too deeply in love with their partners and these boys actually go missing, and everything kind of goes to hell when a boy arrives in this garden as if he's somewhat like returning to their place. I'm not describing this well at all. It sounds beautiful and magical. Not everyone has loved this story, but it seems like one that I'm really going to love because I do love magical realism. Now, my number one author that I have to read on this list is quite possibly insane to me that I haven't read her work. I have been meaning to read this author's stuff for so long. She's written books that are right up my alley. I own everything that she's published except for her most recent one because it's a bind up of short stories in a world that I have not yet read from. I think I've mentioned this quite a few times on my channel, but I've been meaning to read Roshni Chakshi's books for so long. Everything about all of her stories seem entirely up my alley. I have been desperately wanting to read her for so long. The book I want to read the most from her, though, happens to be A Star-Touched Queen. This is a high fantasy steeped heavily in Indian folklore, and it's been told to have a pretty good Hades and Persephone type thing going on. Also has the companion, which I own, A Crown of Wishes, and I also picked up, totally on a whim, Arusha and the End of Time. This is a Rick Riordan Presents novel. It's middle grade, and again, it follows, I believe, Hindu mythology, which sounds wonderful. And also, she has a book coming out very soon. I believe it's January 15th that it comes out, called The Gilded Wolves. Frankly, I'm hoping by the end of the year to have read everything that she has physically published. So that's it today for the 5 authors that I want to read from in 2019. These authors have all been calling to me for so long, and it's honestly baffling as to why I haven't read from them. I would love to know if you've read anything by any of these authors, including Adam Silveira. I just don't have his physical book with me here. If you could recommend to me any of the books that any of these authors have written, I would love to know that. I do think I'm going to start with a lot of the books that I featured in this video today, but I can be convinced otherwise, and I would always love more recommendations with these authors because I genuinely believe that a lot of them could become my new favorites. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!